Hello, I'm Betty, and today I'm going to be reading from April 1955 from my mother's diary. She kept a diary for about 2 years, and at the time she's 44 years old, so this is 71 years ago in the life of a mother and in the rural South. So I'm just going to start reading, and if I have time, I'll go on to May. Dear Diary, no April Fools today. Had a lot to do today, didn't get to do much, and look after the store. So my daddy had started a store last November in 1954, and it's growing every day, so she's getting a little bit busier. April the 2nd, Dear Diary, today has been a bad rainy day. Elaine went to town and got her hair cut. Elaine's my older sister, and at that time she was 11 years old and I was 9 years old. And I have a younger sister, Wanda, who was 17 months younger than me. April 3rd, Dear Diary, today has been right pretty. We stayed home all day. April the 4th, Dear Diary, I done a big washing today. Went to see Mrs. Johnson. She is sick. Minnie Ruth went home today from her mother's. Mrs. Johnson is a neighbor, lives next door, and Minnie Ruth is my sister-in-law, and she has just had her first baby, my mother's first grandbaby, in March. So, Dear Diary, April the 5th, it has been a bad rainy day. Haven't done much of anything. Grandpa Schuler died 21 years ago today. And I never knew my grandfather, so he died way before I was ever born. April the 6th, Dear Diary, I went to Mrs. Johnson's this morning. Mr. Johnson was saved. And if you know anything about like Southern Baptist Church or something, that just saved means he accepted the Lord Jesus Christ as his Savior. I ironed some this evening. Howard came tonight. Rained some today. April the 7th. Dear Diary, I have been busy all day cleaning house. Went to see Mrs. Johnson a few minutes. Howard and Minnie came, brought Denise. She sure is growing, so that's the new grandbaby. April the 8th, Dear Diary. Been the same old thing. Just clean house and run the store. Now I got a little laugh out of this because I thought, I know how many times I've been in a rut and things are just the same old thing every day. Especially since I'm retired. Oh my goodness, it gets rough some days. But this is 71 years ago, and my mother's feeling exactly the same thing. She just says it been the same old thing. Just clean house and run the store. Okay, so April the 9th. Dear Diary, I took the girls to town this afternoon for their Easter shoes and Elaine a dress. Mrs. Johnson is better. April the 10th. Dear Diary, the girls and I went to Beulah's with the Johnsons. They were so glad to see us. She is doing fairly well. Rained most of the day. And in March, her twin sister had been in the hospital, and my mother had taken a bus down there and spent the night with her because they were so very close and they were identical twins. So, April 11th, Dear Diary, Mrs. Johnson been sick with her neck hurting, still raining bad. April the 12th, Dear Diary, I have ironed some today, helped Mrs. Johnson some. She went back to the doctor. And my mother did what she could to help her neighbors and family and friends, and I know I try to do the same when I can, so That's just something that makes me proud to know she was a giving and kind person. April 13th, Dear Diary. Today Howard came, brought some washing. Mrs. Johnson's still pretty sick. I run back and forth to see her. So my brother's just brought his wife and new baby home from the hospital, so Mama's doing their washing for them too. Dear Diary, Mrs. Johnson spent the day with us. Mrs. Rich, Mrs. Fight came also. Howard and Minnie and the baby came. April the 15th, Dear Diary. Wasn't any school today. Elaine and I done a big washing. Been a pretty day. Hope it stays pretty for a while. April the 16th, Dear Diary. Today Charlie worked on Howard's car. Elaine and I ironed some. The children played in the woods across the road. We didn't rarely go across the road. We went all around our house and next door, but we very rarely went across the road, and I don't know why. We just, the neighbors over there were people we'd known for years, but we weren't as close to them, and for some strange reason, the school district was divided, so the people across the street from us went to an entirely different school, so we didn't know those children as well either, so strange how things work out like that. April 17th, Dear Diary. Today has been nice, real hot. Charlie and Elaine went to Mrs. Schuler's at Marietta. Howard, Minnie, and baby Reba and the girls came. 18th, Dear Diary. Today has been fair and hot. Charlie plowed some. I ironed. Went to Mrs. Johnson. Business is pretty good today, so she's talking about the little grocery store. Dear Diary, today has been a pretty day. Charlie laid off our garden. I haven't done much of anything but take care of the store. So in March, Daddy had just ordered him a new tractor, so I assume it's come in and he started getting the ground ready to plant the garden. Laid off means he's lining up the rows and tilling the soil. April the 20th, Dear Diary. Today Charlie set out some cabbage, peppers, and tomatoes and watered them. It rained a little. Howard, Minnie, and baby came. I got a letter from Leanne today. Now Leanne is my other sister-in-law, and in the previous videos I've talked about her and my brother being in Bordeaux, France, because he's in the army, and in one video I tell about the night she rode the train, I think it was to New York, to catch a ship to go to France to be with him. So they're still there in April of 1955. April 21st, Dear Diary. Today was a pretty day. We cleaned up the yard. 22nd, Dear Diary, I have been lazy, not done much of anything. Started to turn the cow dry. We had a cow that they kept in the neighbor's barn and in their pasture, so I guess she's decided she don't need to milk the cow anymore because we've got the grocery store, and it's time consuming, and she used to churn our butter and everything, so she's turning the cow dry. April 23rd, Dear Diary, today Elaine and I done ours and Howard's washing. Reba and Mrs. Johnson came this evening. Dear Diary, today has been strong. Today has been stormy. Radio gave tornado warnings. We had some hail. Wanda and I went to Olivia Baptist Church with the Johnsons. Howard and wife came to take care of the store for me. Dear Diary, today has been cold. Partly cloudy. Mrs. Charles, Mrs. Johnson, Joyce Godfrey came. Charlie bought a Ford car. Dear Diary, today has been, this is April 26th, mostly cloudy and cold. I done my ironing. Elaine and Betty went to GA meeting after school. The GA is Girls Auxiliary, and that was, we went to Southern Baptist Church at that time. April 27th, Dear Diary, today has been cold and windy. Mrs. Johnson came a while this evening. 28th, Dear Diary, it is still cool and windy. Howard, wife, and baby came. He went to work for Paramount Dairies today. We watched Groucho Marx on television. Now, Paramount Dairies was located in our town, and this was a very good job. So he worked for them for years, and I remember as our store grew and we had dairy cases, he would come in, and us kids, he'd say, pull that milk up to the front. So we'd have to get down in the cooler and pull all the milk forward as it sold. And of course, if you know anything about grocery stores, you always stock new stuff to the back. And of course you did on things that could spoil, like milk. So you had to keep everything pulled forward, and then you put all the new in behind. And boy, he was bossy. But he learned that in the Army. He served in Korea during the Korean War, and so he knew how to boss people around. April 29th, Dear Diary, I do wish it would get warm again. Cold north winds still flowing. Hope it stays pretty. We want to go to Mama's on Sunday. April 30th. Dear Diary, Elaine and I went to town, got material to make her and Betty's GA skirts. Reba and Lila Mae went too. And there, Lila is a neighbor, and she's about the age of my older sister. May the 1st. Dear Diary, today Howard, wife, and baby, Aunt Della, me and the girls all went to Mama's. Got some colored honeysuckles, pretty day. Okay. Oh, I know those were beautiful, and my mother loved flowers, so if there was some flowers around, she was out looking and a-picking. Dear Diary, Elaine stayed out of school. We done a big washing. She went, had a x-ray. Another pretty day. Now, I talk in April about all the x-rays she's had, so she's having another one. I know they found spots on her lung, but those had cleared up, so I guess maybe this is just a recheck. May the 3rd, Dear Diary, I have been making Elaine a skirt, got it about done. Adela and Odell Joyce came this evening. May the 4th, Dear Diary, I have been cleaning house, put my flowers all out in the sun. Charlie been plowing, the ground is getting dry. May the 5th, Dear Diary, today has been hot. I haven't done much of anything. Minnie came down and did her washing. May the 6th, Dear Diary, Mrs. Johnson and Reba came this evening. Charlie took them and Elaine to the doctor. Elaine's x-ray was clear. I sure was proud. May the 7th, Dear Diary, it is still dry. Would like to see some rain. Mr. Pritchett died this evening. Mrs. Charles and Vicky came tonight. Now, Mr. Pritchett was the man that owned a little tiny store that had been in our neighborhood all my life, and but he had gotten older, and he didn't keep a whole lot of stuff, so when Daddy started his store, it really was I think Mr. Pritchett probably just kept it open because it gave him something to do. I know he had ice cream, but very few groceries and nothing like Daddy later would add to his store. But I couldn't remember when he died, so I was 9 years old when he died. May the 8th, Dear Diary, the girls and I went to church this morning. Howard and Minnie and the baby came this evening. Denise sure is growing. May the 9th, Dear Diary, I went to Mr. Pritchett's funeral this evening. Big crowd and a lot of pretty flowers. Mrs. Johnson went with me. May the 10th, Dear Diary, today has been partly cloudy. I have clean house. Charlie put some in the garden. Dear Diary, today Betty went home with Margaret tonight. We miss her so much. Wanda fell, hurt her chin. It is swelled pretty bad. Now, I remember going home with my little friend from school, Margaret. I don't remember much about it, but I was always such a shy little kid, and I think Margaret was a lot like me. She was just a sweet little girl, and so I'm sure we had a good time. I just remember going, don't remember much about it. But I'm glad Mama put it in here. Dear Diary, Charlie and Mrs. Johnson took Wanda to the doctor. He x-rayed. It wasn't broke, but the bone is infected. I haven't done much of anything. So she talked about my sister falling the day before and hurting her chin, so it's not broke. May the 13th, Dear Diary, Charlie went to town all washed, took Wanda back to the doctor. She is better. She don't like to soak her chin in salt water. Dear Diary, I have been hoeing in the garden. Rained some this morning. I ironed and put out some gladolia bulbs. Now, if there's any place in the yard that Mama, if she had any flower bulbs or seeds, she was putting them in the ground, and later on we'd tease her about all her flowers, but she loved doing that. I have a brown thumb. She had a green thumb. May the 15th, Dear Diary, today has been a rainy day. The girls went to Sunday school. Howard and Minnie came, had supper with us. Business has been good. May the 16th, Dear Diary, I haven't felt good today. Elaine stayed out of school. We washed. We worked in the store, changing the things around again. May the 17th, Dear Diary, I woke up with a sick headache this morning. Mrs. Johnson came, helped clean up the house. Elaine and Betty went to GA meeting this evening. May the 18th, Dear Diary, it seems like I don't get time for anything. Be glad when school is out so the girls can help. Bless her heart, she's staying pretty busy. May the 19th, Dear Diary, another year has gone by. I just wonder what I will be doing another year. Doing good in the grocery business, I hope. Now, she's talking about May 19, 1954. She started her diary. And at that time, we were in Cleveland, Ohio, just days before we were to leave and come back to live in Georgia. So she's looking back and wondering ahead, so don't we all do that? May the 20th, Dear Diary, we are having plenty of rain, haven't got much of our garden planted. May the 21st, Dear Diary, I have been cleaning house. Need to wash. Maybe get it done tomorrow. Wanda is out of school. She just broke out. Dear Diary, we have done pretty good in the store. Today's still a lot of rain. This is May the 22nd. Was Wanda's birthday. Pauline and Oma Jean came. That's our little neighbors. Mama tried to have some type of a little party, even though it was not very big and nothing like kids have today, but she'd invite her little neighbor friends to come, and she'd have some cake or something for us. Dear Diary, May the 23rd. The children went to school. I haven't done much except watch the store. May the 24th. Dear Diary, today it rained. Elaine and Betty went to GA's at Antioch. May the 25th. Dear Diary, today Elaine and I done a big washing. Leila Mae came a while, helped Elaine hang things out, and I've talked about in other videos. She has to use an old wringer type washer where you wring the tub washes the clothes, then you have to use a wringer and run them over into a tub of rinse water, and usually a second tub for a second rinse. And then you hang them on a clothesline outside to dry. So it's pretty time intensive to just do a load of laundry. And one thing about it, we lived in the country, but Mama kept us clean, and our clothes were always clean, and she always took good care of us. And in other videos, I talk about her mending our clothes and darning our socks, and so she was doing what she needed to do to keep us clean and looking presentable. So I'm proud of that. May the 26th. Dear Diary, I have been ironing. Howard and Minnie came, done their washing. Denise sure is cute. So the baby's about a month old at that point. May the 27th. Dear Diary, today we ironed some more. Howard and Minnie came a while tonight. May the 28th. Dear Diary, today Mr. and Mrs. Johnson went to see Mrs. Richards. She is pretty sick. May the 29th. Dear Diary, today Howard, Minnie, and Baby took us to the Clayton reunion at Grants Park. Had a good time, rained a little. Now, in one of my little trips and travel and life stories videos, I talk about a family reunion at Grants Park. Of course, I had no idea when I was talking about it what year it was, but it was May the 29th. 1955, and I remember going to Grants Park because we didn't rarely venture out that far into Atlanta. We'd go see my mother's twin sister and her family off Howell Mill Road in Atlanta, but that was an exciting family reunion to go to Grants Park. May the 30th. Dear Diary, Mrs. Johnson went to town with Charlie and we had a good time. She is a lot of fun. Been cool all day long. So that's my mother's next door neighbor, and she's a good friend. And this is the first time I've heard her say that anything about her personality, but she said she's a lot of fun. They had a good time. May the 31st. This is the last one I'm going to read. Dear Diary, I have been painting the bathroom today. It has been clear and cool. Betty and Elaine went to GA's. So that was April and May of 1955, 71 years ago in the life of my mother. And it's not an exciting, adventuresome life, but just a typical average day for most women back in those days in our part of the country. And like I said, it's the rural South, and We don't have a whole lot, but the grocery store is continuing to grow, and it eventually becomes where my daddy don't have to work outside at another job. So um, at this time, I think he's working as a night watchman somewhere, and so he's having to put in a garden and help get that started because that's what we depended on for our food during the winter. So as the store grows, the gardening and the, like she said, turning the cow dry, those things are sort of being replaced by having to take care of the store, and eventually all of our food would be coming through the store. That didn't mean we didn't buy fresh produce, and because in the store we had produce and meat and everything else eventually. So now I'm vegetarian, and my mother was mainly too. So at that time, we had, the store wasn't that big, but I'm sure we had all kinds of canned goods and Coke machines and things like that. But it would grow and would take more of her time. And so I'm going to be reading June and maybe July in the next one. And I think August, she gets through August, and then the September I don't think she writes any. And her last day that she records is on October, in October. And so this won't be but a couple of 3 more readings at the most. I'll be finished with her diary. And I appreciate you staying and watching. And I know this is not everybody's cup of tea, but my family members are enjoying it. And it's good for me to look back and read. I've reread it several times, but you forget when things happen. So it's good to remember. Anyway, have a beautiful day. Live, laugh, and love. Be kind. Enjoy your life. I see a spider on my table, so when I turn this phone off, I've got to get that little thing. He's jumping around. I gotta go. Bye.